You can actually be the mother you want to be, that you were born to be. That's why I say, we're creating conscious mamas because we're stopping the generational trauma.
I
We're
love
stopping, right?
You
We
just
need
gave me the
that.
chills, Monica. I'm serious. All right, you guys, today I have a beautiful conversation with Monica Cox from Finding Fertility. She's an amazing human. If you have been struggling with getting pregnant, IVF, anything related to conception and getting yourself ready. Maybe you're looking to have a baby and you're not even sure yet if this might be something you might come across. If I could give anyone advice or suggest something for someone who is struggling, is I would say this is a great first step, is to take a listen to this podcast. And if it piques your curiosity and what we're talking about really hits home, definitely check out Monica and see if you can get on a call with her. She has an amazing opportunity for us at the end of the podcast for you to actually get on a call with her. So make sure you stay tuned till the end. But I'm going to let you into the show. She's an amazing human. You're going to love this if it's right up your alley. And listen, she is a boss bitch, much like me, but on a different level. Okay. Like she's giving it to you on like, let's go. If you want to have this baby, this is the shit we got to figure out. So not in so many words, but that's in boss bitch words. So I'm going to let you in and enjoy the show.
Well, thank you for having me on. I feel so honored. Like we said before, I'm always blown away when people have over 300 podcasts. So thank you so much for showing up for this community.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I have a circle. I have a spiral. It like continues and goes. But it really started when I was 27. I wanted to have children like most women. And I was fit. I was healthy. I was having regular cycles. All my labs were normal. And after 3 years, they were like, look, just try IVF. And so I was 30 and it was a shambles. Okay. And we didn't even, if I won't get into the thick of what IVF is, but IVF collects the egg, brings the sperm, makes an embryo. Back then, there wasn't as much testing, but now you can do a lot of testing around, the health, the gender, all these different things. And when they said your embryos didn't even really mature, there's lots of fragmentation in them, we'll put back 2. But I lived in the United Kingdom, so it wasn't like America where you could have 8 kids at once. They were very strict on how many embryos they put back in. They're like, because they're so bad, we'll put back in 2 and just cross our fingers and hope one makes it. And obviously it didn't make it. And in our appointment, it's lovingly called the WTF appointment within the community. They just said, well, your husband's sperm is fine. You made bad embryos, so therefore you have low egg quality and there's nothing you can do about it. So just try IVF again. And I just sat there kind of dumbfounded and I knew nothing about health and wellness. And I just heard the guides behind me screaming. And I wasn't even spiritual at that time. To be honest, I was having a dip in my spirituality and my faith. And they were just like, that's BS. Do not listen to that. You can do something. Like, you'll figure it out. And luckily, my husband was on the same page because they weren't even going to change up our medication. So we're like, why are we going to spend thousands of pounds for the same thing and expect a different result? That just seemed like really crazy to us. So we were sat in Hyde Park with a friend who was on his own health kick, and he went, change your diet. And we just laughed at him because we were like, we're fit.
Can I ask a
we're
question?
We're healthy.
Because
of course.
I like have so many questions, as we'll squirrel in like 35 directions because I have ADHD. So what was your diet like at that point?
Normal.
Okay. So describe that. Okay.
It's hard to even describe it now, but like a lot of canned foods, like the sauces, maybe very minimum vegetables, but we added onions and, mushrooms to our sauce and our pasta. I mean, we ate meat but we weren't doing takeaways. We weren't big like McDonald's eaters. We were both thin and we didn't have any blood markers that were, like, hey,
normal.
Change your diet, right?
Yeah.
You have high blood pressure, you have this or that. We are talking about 15 years ago, so it's probably a little bit more common for doctors to possibly say, hey, change your diet. But when you look like thin, you get the opposite of when you're overweight. So if someone walks in, they're overweight, they automatically say, lose weight, change your diet. when you don't have that and you have that kind of like skinny fat or that skinny like sickness, because you could be skinny and unhealthy. And that's what I was. So our diet was we weren't doing anything different to anyone else. It was your typical standard American diet, I would say.
Okay.
And I had lived that way my whole life. So I thought, well, we did something as radical as IVF, so I guess I'll just try and see what this diet thing. And so we hooked up with a really amazing coach, and he basically put me on a paleo diet and wanted me to add in more vegetables. And we saw amazing changes. Like everyone knows, the moment you start incorporating a wider variety, you lower the sugars that are hidden in, the packaged foods and all that, you see great results. And I was doing this for about a year, and I still had not even seen one positive pregnancy test. So you're talking 4 years, one failed IVF. And around this time, obviously, I was getting neck deep into the holistic stuff. And I stumbled upon a book called Is Your Body Baby Friendly? It wasn't holistic. It was very medical, talking a lot about a lot of immune testing and blood testing and karyotypes and all these things. But I intuitively knew that I needed to do an autoimmune testing. I wasn't having reoccurring miscarriages, but for me, there was something there that was calling to me. So I went to a clinic. We changed clinics. They were doing the testing. We saw the doctor and he talked me out of the testing. And I didn't follow my intuition. And I did another round of IVF. And we saw success in that we made healthier embryos. So the one thing the experts told me I couldn't do was improve my egg quality. We proved that you could do that.
Amazing.
But unfortunately, I didn't even make it to day 28 on that cycle, even with all the medication. And that was kind of the lowest point for me, is as everyone knows listening to this podcast, when you're doing the work and you feel like you're doing everything right, you've radically changed your life and you don't see the success that you feel like you deserve. Really.
I feel like that's with everything, right?
Right?
Yeah.
I just thought, well, maybe my body can't do this. And I didn't have the knowledge that I have today, right? And I really didn't even have the belief system I have today. I printed out a surrogacy form because I didn't want to waste the other embryos. And once I collected myself a little bit and was like, demand that testing, do the testing. And we did. And it came back that even though I was pretty much perfect for a whole year, I still had high enough elevated natural killer cells for the clinic to be concerned about it. And really, with hindsight, that was the root cause of all of my fertility issues, my low egg quality and the implantation issue. And for your listeners who don't know, everyone has natural killer cells. We need them. They protect us when the colds and the viruses come around. But with autoimmune issues, your body is on overdrive. And usually most autoimmune issues are linked into your gut. You have poor gut quality. The food particles can get into your bloodstream, attack, and then they just go rampant and start attacking everything else. Well, with that, you get pretty low cellular health as well, because you are inflamed through the whole body.
Makes sense.
And your ovaries, for some reason, the fertility world think they sit in this little box, and your ovaries are only affected by the number of candles on your birthday cake.
Yeah.
And that's why they think you can't improve them, which is completely BS. It's junky 80 science. And if you just apply a little bit of common sense, you can see like, okay, your egg is one of the biggest cells in your body. All your cells react to your environment. So if there's something going on in your environment, yeah, it might be the last cell that gets affected. But if you have that chronic stress, which most of us have, and you're dealing with fertility issues, it's a really good place to look. So we used in our next frozen embryo transfer immune suppressing drugs, because that was the answer that the clinic gave us. And it worked. I got pregnant for the first time, and unfortunately, on our 7-week scan, there was no heartbeat. And as devastating as it was, that gave me my hope back. I finally saw almost 5 years into this journey that I could, in fact, get pregnant. So I went deeper. Luckily, the paleo mom was doing her blog. It was like this really junky blog at the time. And I was like, well, if my gut health is the root cause, then I need to hyper focus on healing my gut. So I brought in bone broth, I brought in liver, because you're still going back almost a decade now, and you didn't have the supplementation, you didn't have the testing,
Right.
you didn't have all these things to kind of fast track. And we waited about 8 months to heal, because I think that's a really big thing that a lot of women don't understand in this journey is when you're going through treatment and when you're having these miscarriages, taking the time to heal emotionally, financially, physically increases your chances. And it breaks my heart when I see clients getting pushed by their clinic. Oh, you got your period. You're ready to go. Let's go. You're fine. And so we went back. We got pregnant, we stayed pregnant, and that is my IVF baby who is 10 this year.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And as harsh as it may be to hear when you're in the thick of the journey, the stress of infertility went away. I had my baby. And it really allowed me to step in this deep surrender. And I stuck to my diet and my lifestyle. And I had this perfect little baby. And I was very fortunate. I didn't have to go back to work. And so I was just in heaven. And during that time, that's when I know that my gut health radically healed. And we knew we had twins on ice, and we knew we wanted to go back for them. So we waited the appropriate time, went back for the twins, and I got pregnant again, but I had an early miscarriage. And this miscarriage was a little bit different.
Was this IVF or was this?
Yes,
Okay.
this was still IVF. This was our last and final frozen embryo transfer. This was 8 years into the journey. I was 36. Like, it was done. Like, I wasn't going for any more treatment. And I didn't have the belief or maybe even the knowledge that I have today that I could get pregnant naturally. So when we miscarried that, like, we felt that was it. That was done. And it was pretty devastating. Even though we were incredibly happy with our boy or baby boy, like, sometimes you want a bigger family. And we just went on living life. And 2 months later, it was quite a busy time for us. I didn't get my period. I was on a girls' weekend. I brought some tampons. I was like, okay, I'll get my period this weekend. Didn't come. I was like, oh, well, I was having a little bit of drinks by then, back into, a normal flow. And it didn't come for another week and another week. And I was like, no way after 8 years of BS that this can just happen like this. And it wasn't like people are like, we'll see when you just relax or when you just, I'm like, no. This was like hard earned, showed up, learned the science, proved everyone wrong. And 4 months into his pregnancy, my second son's, I was pissed. I got mad, like real mad, that after I pieced everything together, that I understood that you can improve your cellular health, you can improve your gut health, most fertility issues are a cellular health issue there, unless you're dealing with a structural issue or a genetic issue that functional medicine can't, fix at the moment. It was hard, but it was doable. And then I have to drop $50,000 on treatment that the only thing that treatment could give me was a baby. And everyone who's a parent now or is close to children in their lives knows that there's so much more beyond the two pink lines. And I didn't really realize that until my second son was 2 and he was crying over some like blue popsicle, not a red popsicle. And I had this rage in my body. And I have 20 years of early education experience, right? Like, I was supposed to be Mary Poppins, the Pinterest mom. Like, like this was going to be an easy job for me. And I was like, this is not normal. I should not be feeling this way over a popsicle. And that's when and this is why I say my journey is a spiral and not a circle. I realized that even though you can have everything you worked incredibly hard for physically, the emotions, the energetic, the mindset, if you don't deal with it on a certain level and consistently, like brushing your teeth, it's going to be like a hard brick wall. You are going to ram into it. And I realized with radical honesty, like, motherhood isn't what I thought it was going to be. And it wasn't the kids' fault. It was because I didn't take care of all the BS that I didn't know was behind some of the issues that contributed to the fertility issues in the first place.
What do you think
Right?
what do you think the biggest one was, if you had to pinpoint it?
Emotion? Oh my God. Probably all the BS that I inherited from my father. Yeah, that was probably the hard. I'm still kind of dealing with it too. Like when things pop up, I'm like, oh, yep, that's from my dad,
Right?
which was crazy because I got raised as a daddy's girl. My mother had all these limiting beliefs around women, and she didn't have a very good relationship with her mom. And so, even though my mom was there more for us, much more, I couldn't see really the faults of my father and everything that, I inherited from him and the way I was patterning from him. So, that was a really hard pill to swallow and work through. I love both of my parents. I actually helped my father pass through cancer, invited him into my home. So, I've always had a good relationship with them. So, I think it's hard when you don't have those quote unquote big traumas to go, yeah, I can explain why I don't have self-worth, self-love, why I'm not taking care of my body, why I'm drinking when I know I shouldn't be drinking, and pick apart those patterns and those stories and those belief systems with grace, with love towards the other people, but knowing that I don't want to pass this down to my kids. Like, absolutely not. So, but I dealt with them all. The shame, the self-worth, the love, the money issues, like everything.
I
So,
think it's a big part of why I do what I do is really trying to break generational patterns that I know and now realize, like in my mid 40s, I don't think I had the experience or the discernment when I was in sort of the thick of raising my kids at those ages. And similarly to your sentiment about I didn't have my mom present in my life for most of the important years. And it's something I'm also working through currently as well, right? And knowing that I parent the way that I do because of those experiences. And I really try to pride myself on that. Like, what did I not like? And I don't want to repeat that.
yeah,
Right. And so
absolutely.
it's a beautiful thing. It's a lot of work. It's, for me, a lot of tears. And I feel like the work just never stops on it. It just is, it's a continual work.
Yeah.
It's a muscle.
Well, that's why it's a spiral and never a circle, right? If you think you've come full circle, like just wait, like it will come
Precisely.
again.
Yeah.
And I think what was missing for me in the beginning of this emotional and energetic realization was I thought like you do the work and then like you have these big ahas and like your life is perfect and stuff. And the reality is, unless you want to become a Buddhist monk,
Yeah.
where your food is taken, like a kind of everything's taken care of, you're outside of real life, you have to give yourself that you're doing this in real life
Yeah.
and with children in tow. And this is, with my work, a lot of women there, I do get secondary infertility, but it's hard for me to articulate to them, like, trust me, the baby isn't going to solve these issues. So the more you have the space and time to do this work, the you can actually be the mother you want to be, that you were born to be. That's why I say, we're creating conscious mamas because we're stopping the generational trauma.
I
We're
love that.
stopping, right?
You
We
just
need
gave me the
that.
chills, Monica. I'm serious. It's amazing. It's like pulls at my heartstrings like
Yeah.
nothing else. Like I'm a bad bitch in real life, but you mess with my kids or like you get me talking about them and I'm instantly like, pull out the tissues. They're coming.
Right. And we could do this at any stage, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't have to deal with fertility issues or any big issues, but I think during these times, the heartache that we've gone through, whether it's on a physical level, an emotional level, and we're putting in the work, we look, sometimes I have to make up issues so my kids have something to work at.
You're like growth experience. Here you go.
Yeah, and I had to give myself grace because I was like, get more perfect because then your kids don't have to deal with this or that. And then I'm just like, no, that's not my job either. They chose this life.
Yes. They have a
chose
soul
to come
assignment.
to us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they obviously have chosen to be with parents who want to elevate,
Most
who
definitely.
want to make those changes because they are here to do something higher than possibly we can do because they're not going to take their 20s and 30s figuring it out. They're not going to deal with health issues like we dealt with. Like I'm almost positive I was dealing with fertility issues at 16. I feel like I just didn't get lucky with my high school boyfriend. With hindsight, I had all those gut issues. I was type A. I was working a 40-hour work week and going to high school. Like
Yeah.
like what? Why?
Can we shift gears a little bit, because this is kind of the
Absolutely.
direction that I wanted to go. So, in your experience, if you had to just start listing off infertility red flags, what would they be? Like if you sat down with somebody, and you were going to work with them in your capacity, is there things that they're saying where you're like, oh, we got to work on that. Oh, yep, we got to work on that, right? Because I know when I do consultations with women, a lot of times I call in a lot of leaders and coaches, and I tend to be the coach's coach.
Yeah.
And so we have a conversation, and oftentimes they're thinking I'm going to have like the magical meal plan or the workout, and that's going to solve all their problems. And I'm like, bitch, that's the easy shit.
Yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely.
I can do that in my sleep. Okay, we're going to talk about all these other factors that are the cause of why you can't get these down. And it's like so deep. And we talk about sleep and alcohol use and personal development and meditation and like so many things. And so when I'm having conversations with somebody, I can think of like 5 things to say, here's where I would focus instead of doing this thing, which you think is really the solution.
Yeah. One, it's getting radically honest with yourself, right? So I'll do these breakthrough sessions where they'll come in, they'll tell me about their journey and thinking same thing. I'm going to get the diet and the supplements. And I feel like I hold a safe enough space for them to actually really start talking about what's going on. Oh, my husband has a gambling issue. Oh, my husband does this. Oh, I do this. Oh, I do that. And I'm like, that's it right there. One woman, she was in a car accident. She lost her periods. And one of my skills, my whole body will light up when the truth is said. And I said, stop there. She's like, no, the doctors told me that had nothing to do with it. And I said, do you believe them? She's like, no. Then, like, my body's here again, right? Then why are you not listening to yourself? Why, if you know that's the thing, that you're not listening to yourself? So it's really getting them to be radically honest about their journey and about their holes and why they're not showing up. But if you have a checklist, red flag. Like, you need to let go of that fertility
tell me more.
checklist.
Oh, okay. The fertility checklist.
Well, so like you do your meditations and you do your yoga. Like, here's the radical truth that was the biggest awakening I ever had. All your modalities that you do, say you have 100 hours in a work or in a week. There might be more, might be less. I'm just saying 100.
Yeah.
Right?
Great, good round number. I love it.
Right. If your modalities, the work that you're showing up is 10 hours in that week, your yoga, your gym, all the things that are reducing stress. If you are running like a mad chicken with its head cut off for the rest of the 90 hours of the work week, that other 10 hours doesn't touch the cortisol levels, the gut health, the sleep patterns, the self-worth, the self-love. So most people, and I did this for years too, and this is where people think, the perfection, oh, I'm being perfect. Why am I still not seeing the results that I want? Well, the perfection isn't needed. It's the surrender. It's the discernment. It's the intuition. It's slowing down. How many people do you know can sit with themselves for an hour and not do anything?
It's tough.
Even us practitioners
Right.
who do it's a
work. Yeah.
Right. And we're only good at it because we've shown up for ourselves.
Correct.
Where if you're not, so those red flags, if you are go for 90 hours of your week, that's your reality. That's your nervous system on repeat.
Yeah. So when you're talking about getting radically honest with yourself, something that comes up for me is even discussing with clients about the fact that maybe they need to have conversations around boundaries or asking for help and not carrying all of the invisible mental load of everything that is not making their relaxed time possible, organically for them to be able to be in that space.
Yeah,
I'm assuming
absolutely.
those conversations come up for you too.
Yeah. And I think we have kind of been in this weird culture that if our partners, especially if they're male, don't show up the way that we would show up with our hypervigilance and our, we can pack a bag with 20 different things, knowing we're going to,
anticipating
take care
everybody's needs.
Yeah.
We're good at
and
that.
They're like a bag of wipes, extra diaper, and a sippy cup. Let's go. Right. And we're like, no. So when we are having those expectations of ourselves and of our partners, and they're just really not achievable, even though we've all been told we can do it all. We can work the 50-hour work week. We can be a full-time mom. We can take care of our mental and emotional health. Like, no, you can't. Something's going to suffer. And that's not a blame game. And that's not saying one thing's better than the other. That's just being radically honest that no woman or man can show up the way they do. You know, when they're like, we can do what a man does. Well, I don't want to do what a man does because he doesn't even take care of the kids. Like, no, like, why are we doing this to ourselves? And so finding your balance and your truth, right? Your truth of what do you really want? Because that was a crazy thing for me, is that I was thinking my truth was all the patterns that I was running. Well, I can be a full-time mom, a stay-home mom, a homeschooling mom, and run a $2 million business and do all these things. And then the resentment comes in and the exhaustion. And I saw my health during COVID really go massively down. And I had to take that radical responsibility of like, I'm actually not implementing the things that I teach, and I need a different approach because I know this is not sustainable. And that's what being a conscious mama is all about. Not being perfect, not being Mary Poppins. It's about going, okay, the way I've been patterning, where's that coming from?
It's amazing how
can I redirect it and start those baby sips, that 1% a day. And we're just all want to get to the finish line.
Yeah.
We all want the baby. We all want the $1 million. We all want these things, but that's another thing society set us up for, is those quick fixes, those order Amazon, it'll be there the same day in some locations. And the reality is the way, I don't know, like manifestation or, quantum or all those, whatever you call it, your body is not as fast. It's dense. It's heavy. It takes time to repair. Do I believe you can heal a bone without casts and all that? Yes, but still you have to be slow. You have to be intentional. You can't expect decades of crap, luggage that probably doesn't even belong to you, continue on and you fix it like that. It just doesn't work that way. The body doesn't work that way. And building something that you're truly aligned in and truly love doesn't happen overnight either, right? So if you're the coach's coach and all these coaches want these things right away, maybe there are some people who get lucky, but I honestly believe those people who got lucky failed several times before that luck hit.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. It's interesting how this is something I'm talking about a lot right now, is really energy management and being more conscious with the things that I'm doing. And I just kind of came out of a season of deciding that I was done with like the toxic productivity. And just like, I'm over that shit. Like, I love Gary Vee, but like, I'm not trying to live on the Gary Vee level. I'm like, not, and some of these people, I don't know who you tend to gravitate towards for sort of motivation and anchor to your own voice, but it's been a real big work. And part of that is in the showing and in the doing and taking them along the journey and getting rid of so many things in my life that were causing stress. But I thought like, oh, I want this because I can afford it. And it like makes me feel a certain way when it really wasn't. Like it made me feel that way a small percentage of the time compared to how it really made me feel the rest of the time. And it took a long time in self-inventory and time alone, really, self-introspection. But I think what you're doing is fascinating because it seems like this would be the most logical step for somebody to start in this manner before they even start like trying to do treatments and things of that nature, right? Like it's like get ahead of the problem before it becomes a problem.
You would think. But, I can't judge. I jumped into IVF before I did any of this.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Just like maybe you listened to Gary Vee and bought his Kool-Aid, which his Kool-Aid works. But what are the facts about Gary? Like he probably has a great relationship with his kids. Just by him telling us how much he works, you definitely weren't with your kids a lot. you're divorced, so you definitely weren't with your wife.
Oh, I didn't
So
even know that. You got the tea, Monica.
I only saw it once. This is the thing about my brain. Like, I remember random crap, so I cannot do like the Kardashians or any of that, because I will remember what Chloe had for her salad 5 years ago, but I won't remember like important things like the gut microbiome stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
It makes sense.
so you think people have it all and you compare yourself to them. Marie Folio is a good example. Here's the tea on her. I only followed her because my mentor, Sean Croxon, did like a deal. You buy B School and you can have sessions with him during B School. I wasn't really interested in her, but I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. So I did her B School. I consumed her content. She's super cute. I just loved
Same.
everything she was doing, but I still had this like disconnection. I never knew why until I saw her at JJ Version's mastermind in Arizona, right? Her and Joe Dispenza were the keynote speakers. Through another friend, and I think Marie was quite vocal with this, Marie had like a tumor or something with her like ovaries, and she had like have a full hysterectomy. When she was doing her keynote speak, it was basically like boss bitches, like workaholic women saying it's time for you guys to slow down, because they tapped into Joe Dispenza's work, which is all about meditation, slowing down, and all that stuff. So they create, like, if you look at her life, she's like had it all, but then she had this crazy health scare. And, I don't know how to say this in the nicest way, but she was fortunate that she didn't want kids. So someone who is waiting to have kids and boss babying their way into fertility issues, and if that happened to them, it would be devastating. It's not worth it. What's your long-term goals, right? I'm an older mom. I joke with my best friend, she's going to be a grandma before my youngest graduates high school, right?
Yeah.
That's the reality of life.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know, with that radical honesty, with that consciousness, the discernment, that I'm not going to create my empire, whatever that looks like for me, by hustling anymore, because it's going to affect my long-term health. And what's more important for me, being able to run on the soccer field or whatever with my 18-year-old son and keep up with them, go snowboarding with them, or be at home sick because I got millions of dollars, but I'm sick and I'm on medication. So we can compare ourselves to these people who have quote unquote made it on the internet. But if you really pull back the emerald curtain, there's a lot of sacrifice, and choose what you want. And maybe for them, that was great. Once again, no judgment. But going back to you, is that sacrifice worth it?
Right. It's not.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's not. I find how I spend my days now so much more enjoyable day to day, and I intentionally look for ways to create joy throughout my day, and ease and peace, and what if this were easy type vibes, and let the rest fall by the wayside. Like as long as I'm feeling like I'm being of service and my highest good, and I'm not self-sabotaging, then I feel great. And I think that's been the hugest, or one of the biggest mindset shifts for me. I'd be curious, when you talk about your own personal journey, what did it look like in terms of before to now? So like your energy time management, if you had to do like a comparison.
Yeah. So even it's the frequency behind the doing. Okay. So it's not the actual doing. Like, you still have to show up. You still have to do things. But if you can practice, how's your body feeling? Are you in that anxiety? Like, whoa, right? Are you doing that? Or are you taking a big deep breath, telling your nervous system, like, it's okay. Like, you're not an ER surgeon. No one is going to die.
Precisely.
Right? You're not catching a flight if you're 5 minutes late. Like, look, I'm not advocating for being late, but, like, sometimes it's okay. So really, for me, the radical change is, what frequency am I in? And if I'm not in a good frequency, then everything needs to kind of just stop. And that's even with work. If I'm showing up to emails, a lot of women who are building their business and running a home, whether your kids go to school or they're stay home or in their activities, you have like 4 hours. Okay, I gotta get 4 hours and get all this stuff done. I gotta go. Where even today, my husband was home during the day. He's gonna work this afternoon. And I had a friend who wanted to hook up for strength training and yoga. And usually I won't do two things because like, ooh, I've got things to do.
Yeah.
I was like, no, this is your perfect moment to go to strength at 6 a.m., have a coffee with your friend, go to yoga at 9, come home, be a mom.
Yeah.
Do your podcasting. I got 2 podcasts today. And then it's fine.
Yeah.
That's the energy where before I would have been like, no, I'm too busy. I've got 2 podcasts. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. So you're still showing up for yourself, but it's just that frequency of what you're running, those stories that you're telling yourself. And that's where the radical honesty comes in. When this hit me, it was like a big slap in the face. I was washing dishes and I basically was in victim mode. Why me? It's always me washing the dishes, right? And here I am in this beautiful home. I live in Hawaii. I have my 2 dream boys. My husband has this great career that affords this lifestyle. Bitching about the dishes. I was like, oh, no wonder I'm not manifesting my dream life because I'm in this frequency that I'm the victim the whole time.
Exactly. I think it's the intention behind everything is so key. And I have been super diligent about thinking way more. And so everything feels a lot slower, but I embrace it. It's like, there's space there. There's space.
Absolutely.
And interestingly enough, one of my home, pieces of homework from my own mentor and my own therapist was scheduling intentional time for myself, like real appointments that exist and don't skip them, and really doing a lot of inventory, but things that I know actually pour into my cup that allow me to have a more full cup to be pouring into everybody else's. And it's like, I know this because I tell people and I see them do it. It's fucking amazing. I'm like, high five, girl. But it's really difficult for me because I really love what I do. And then because I love what I do, I see so many ways for it to be done and like be spreading the message that I can busy myself all day, every day with all of the tasks and or delegation. But this is really remarkable. I'd love to know if you have non-negotiables for your own self-care. Is there anything that stands out for you?
No, I don't really have any hard lines. I mean, the thing is sleep, right? I actually stopped drinking 3 years ago as well. That was a bit like a huge pivot for me. That's been one of my biggest vices, the hardest thing to give up during my fertility journey. I was raised by 2 functioning alcoholics. It was just normal. And I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic, but I just knew I was patterning in a way that wasn't to my highest potential. And so that's kind of become a non-negotiable for me of like, I don't need that in my life. It's not serving my highest potential. So it's out. But sleep, I mean, it's just people bang on about it. It's just the most underrated thing in the sense of the detox that you get and the rebuilding of your cells during sleep. So I go to bed basically with my kids most nights.
Amazing.
It's so boring.
I'm jealous.
But it's just what it is.
Is that like 8 p.m., 7:30, something like that?
Well, they're pushing more like 8:39 now.
It's summer.
Because it's summer.
For sure. You got to be the cool mom. Let them have that for sure.
I don't really watch TV. That's been a huge shift in my life as well. Like I say, I retain really stupid information in my head sometimes. But obviously diet. I mean, as important as all the energetics and all that, we have to remember we are physical beings on a physical earth. Yes, we're made up of light and energy and, emotions and all those things, but you still have to play this game that we're playing. And so if you want the highest ability of whatever you're doing, workouts, being a psychic, being all those things, your gut health is the master controller. So really, I eat liver still, I eat sauerkraut all the time. I'm 44 this year. And so my hack is to not only make bone broth, but I throw chicken feet in the broth as well because chicken feet has the highest amount of collagen. Oh. So instead of spending all this money on products and this and that, that's kind of a non-negotiable for me. But these things have been put into place you're talking 15 years, right? So I can sit here and say I have all these practices, but it took me 15 years to get here. And it was messy. And there was times I did not do well and times I did great. So still to this day, I've taught my kids to call me out. Like when I'm being a bitch or they can see my energy, especially my eldest, he's like, Mom, why are you freaking out? He's like, your nervous system needs a breath.
I love that. You're creating conscious children. My daughter's the same way. She'll be like, Mom, you're spiraling. And I'm like, anytime, it's funny. I just did a podcast where I said, anytime my daughter tells me that I'm spiraling or I can sense that she's like not in agreement with like what's coming out of my mouth, because she's my best mirror, right? I just love that. She's almost 30 and we communicate through an app called Marco Polo. So it's like a video chat app back and forth.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But she'll be like, Mom, you're spiraling. I'm like, okay. And then I have to check in with myself. And it's such a great reminder, honestly. And to have children who feel safe enough to be able to share that with you is what's like the takeaway for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because we're creating that safety that we didn't have.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if you can think of your nervous system, I know people like talk a lot about it, but if you can think of it as that is your hologram. What is in your nervous system, what's imprinted in there projects your reality. And that's going back to the 10-hour, 90-hour split. Even if you shift that to 40-60 and you're just watching yourself, that's nervous system regulation. I love cold plunges. I love breath work. I love, I'm trained in Psych. I love all those modalities, but the magic is in the mundane. The magic is you showing up, calling yourself out and going, I'm acting like a bitch right now. What do I need? Do I need to sit underneath a tree or do I need a breathwork session? How do I need, So that's where the magic will happen. And it's the consistent actions create your evidence. You don't need a scientific study. Just show up for yourself. The time's going to pass anyways. So
I love that.
How do you want it to pass?
That was the phrase somebody said to me about 11 years ago that started me on my health coach journey through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And I was teaching pole dance at the time, which oddly enough, I know I want to be respectful of your time. And so we're going to wrap up here in a second, but I would love to have you back and really just talk even deeper about the diet and exercise piece of things and along with the psychology piece of it. But she actually experienced fertility issues now that I'm thinking about it. But she had said to me, the time is going to pass anyways. Why don't you just do it? Like people are already paying you to make them diets and workout plans because they trust you. They see that you get results and you've got other people results. So, and then once I did, I was like, oh my God, this learning thing is so cool because I got pregnant at 16 and that whole, I was definitely on the back burner for a very long time. So this was like a new world for me. It was really fun. But yeah, it is really the art in that's how easy it is. As difficult and easy at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's choice. It's a choice.
It is.
And just be graceful with yourself when you don't choose the way you think. Tomorrow's another day. Just make a different choice.
Yeah. This was such a lovely conversation. I feel like we're just barely getting to scratch the surface, but I would love to know how you work with women. Like what's the capacity in which you help them in your scope of practice?
Yeah, so obviously one-to-one, and there's actually a course as well going through the mundaneness of life, right? Not teaching any more information, but I really work with people who feel like they've done it all, and they have. I mean, I have people coming to me that have more knowledge on the functional medicine side because I kind of have stopped studying it, not because I don't think it's valid, but it's out there. The information is out there. You can collect that for yourself.
Yeah.
It's the women who cannot get out of that cycle. They're in the loop. They're in a circle where we want you to spiral. We want you to move forward. And so it's really just finding the holes in your journey, where you're at and where you really need to go and where you need to look. So probably just like you, and this is why I think we've had such an amazing conversation, is like, we're going to be honest. And that's what moves the needle, honesty, and you getting radically honest. You can be pissed at our honesty, but once you calm down and move on. And so it's really just helping, you can change emotions super easily. You can release subconscious blocks. You can even do like past life stuff really easily. And that's why I'm here, is to empower women that they can do that for themselves day to day. It doesn't have to be hard. Healing can be easy, but it's just, you got to show up for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So much of what I'm talking about right now, which is great. It's like perfect timing. All perfect timing. It's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is one
Absolutely.
topic I have not had yet covered on my podcast, interestingly enough, because it's really nothing that I've personally experienced. All been secondhand, but not something I deal with directly so much. And I have seen, not to open up that can of worms, but I've seen how fitness has affected a lot of women. I mean, we used to have this joke around this personal training studio that I own that, like, if you're trying to get pregnant, don't come to Venus, because you will get pregnant. Because we have had so many women in almost 20 years get pregnant who either never thought they could, had tried, had gone through all the things. And I will say that we noticed the most of that when I ran pole dancing for 10 years.
Yeah.
And that was the bulk of my business.
Do you know why?
I assume it's because, well, I know specifically one of my clients had twins, and they had done IVF for many years and with no success. And they had adopted I think they adopted 2 or 3 special needs children, and they were trying to have their own. And then she came and started pole dancing with me, and she said, we've tried everything. We decided to just put a cap and lid on it, and it's done. And my husband really wants me to start doing something for me now.
Yeah. Okay. So
And pregnant
obviously
in
all
less
the
than 2 years.
Yeah, all the physical stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for
so
sure.
energetically, especially with the hip movements that you do in pole dancing, you're releasing energetic stuckness there.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the womb. I'm just getting the massive
I have
goosebumps.
chills as well, my friend. My leg hairs have grown back officially.
Your repressed sexuality, trauma. No one talks about this enough. Women experience trauma during IVF. Your body doesn't know the difference, even though you trust the doctors. That is trauma. So your clients would have been releasing stuck energy, emotion, and trauma in their womb, in their hip area, in that chakra, and that was one of the reasons they were blocked.
Oh, so good.
It could be that simple.
So juicy.
It could be that simple.
Right. There's like so many possibilities, but I think when you're in a space like that, that's probably not what you're going to go to first. Is like, you know what? I can't get pregnant. Let me go do some pole dancing, right? It's probably not going to come out that way. But I think it'd be a fantastic conversation to explore further because it's so good. It's all energy. It really is. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up there. This was lovely. Thank you so much. I know this is going to be a huge help for so many women who listen. And if you have somebody who is listening that maybe this might not be something you struggle with, but somebody in your close circle or friend, feel free to share. We would love that. But where can everyone find you if they want to learn more? Where do you hang out?
Yeah, so I'm finding fertility on every aspect of the internet. So wherever you hang out, you can find me there. But I also have a little gift for your listeners.
Oh, I love that.
If they are dealing with fertility issues, I give free little mini breakthrough sessions. And so it's 30 minutes. They're very rare, like the schedule, they go quick. But I give you a little bit of what I give my paying clients and that ability for you to fill in a form. I see your holes and we just have a radical, honest conversation and you move away from the checklist, the supplements, the diet. You got those things in. And like you say, you focus on what really is important to you. And you can get that through either emailing me or if you follow me and DM me on like Instagram or TikTok, just send me the word dreams and I'll send you the link. And that's my service.
I love it.
Like you, it lights me on fire having these conversations and working with women. So thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited. We'll link everything up in the show notes and this was beautiful. Thank you so much. You're doing amazing work. I appreciate you. All right, you guys, how was that? Is she not so amazing? I am obsessed with her. She's gonna be my new bestie. I'm gonna tell you right now because we're gonna take over the world when it comes to women taking care of themselves, putting themselves on the front burner, understanding how much stress plays a role in affecting their lives in so many capacities and so much on the level of trying to bring in another human into this world. You gotta be that conscious mama that she's talking about. I wholeheartedly believe in that. So if you liked this episode, make sure to share it with somebody who might need to hear it today, right? This is what we do. This is our work and we love to be of service. So share it with somebody. Make sure to hit up Monica if this is a service you can see yourself needing now or in the near future and start creating your life on your terms. I love you.